Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back. We're going to be taking a look at the Sunday night football showdown slate, week 17, so the last regular season showdown slate. We've been playing these things. We've been making the Thursday night videos. Not as many Sunday night ones, but wanted to get this video out for you guys since it is the last one, since it is a pretty good, interesting game where it's a win and you're in game pretty much, right? Indianapolis, the Colts, and then the Titans. So a couple things, house cleaning. Welcome to the channel. My name's Sal. If you haven't been here before, this channel is growing with pretty good growth. We hit 1,000 subs, became a YouTube partner in pretty much about 2 months, and it's been a whole lot of fun. I'll have tons of things in the works for you guys. Go down below right now, join that Facebook group. There's a lot of great activity going on in there already that just launched this week, answering questions in all of the DFS space, not just NFL slates, but NBA, strategy, just a lot of cool things going on in there. There's been awesome interaction. And then also go below and you can download the free guide that I wrote about how to just kind of set yourself apart and give yourself better chances to win in fantasy by being more contrarian. There's a free guide down below. I just wrote it. It's a 9-page guide. A lot of people have gotten great reviews back about it. It was my first long-form attempt at fantasy writing, DFS writing, and it was a success so far based on people's reviews of it and feedback. So I'd appreciate if you guys can check that out as well. Go down below and check that out. But yeah, let's get on with this slate. The last thing I will show you, this is the Instagram account, and this is what's coming, guys. Sal Vetri Show. It's a podcast. This is the little channel art. We got a little cartoon made up of this guy himself. Yours truly. I like to rock the Nike shirts. Not today. We get the Yankee one on, but you know what I'm talking about. So a lot of exciting things coming. I'll update you guys, of course, when the podcast drops. It's probably going to be stripping similar to like the Pat Mayo experience, if you know who he is. Stripping just YouTube video content to make it onto the podcast. To kind of have content on both sides, especially if you're somebody at work and you can't get a hold of a YouTube or a laptop, things like that, morning commute, whatever it might be. That's how it's going to start out, but it's going to evolve from there, hopefully getting interviews with people, things like that. But I'm super pumped, guys. Like, this stuff is just shot off in 2 months, and that's because of all you guys. So whether you're a returning subscriber, thank you. If you're a new subscriber, thank you for being here, and I hope we can keep you, bring you along into this community. But let's get on. Let's get on with that. That's the housekeeping. Thank you guys so much. Check out everything in the links below. We'll get on with this. So, Indianapolis, Tennessee. We saw Tennessee and Derrick Henry light up that showdown slate when they were playing the Jaguars. Everybody was on Leonard Fournette. Leonard Fournette, 86% owned. If you're new here, and this is going to sound repetitive if you aren't, but the Facebook group's actually very sharp. Like, we think differently, and I like that. So go ahead and join that. If you're different, you know that I like to fade, or if you've been here before, you know I like to fade guys that should come in around 80% or more owned on these showdown slates, and that's usually the star running back, or if there's no good star running backs / big star receivers, that's usually the quarterback. We saw it with DeAndre Hopkins. He was pretty much 80% owned, but so was Deshaun Watson on that one Saturday game. We've seen it with running backs in the past like Zeke and Saquon getting over 80% ownership. Leonard Fournette a few weeks back. And I think these are spots that it makes sense to fade them. Look, if they're going to be 86, 85% owned, if you fade them in 3 lineups, you're outweighing the field, right? If you have 10 lineups, that is. So that's 30%. You're fading them. I usually do 30 or 40% unless I feel like I have a big edge. Like with that Leonard Fournette, I didn't think he was in a good situation. Had a tough matchup. His quarterback is whoever the heck his quarterback is. I can't even think of his name right now. Nobody good. And the way to stop the Jaguars is to stop Fournette. You know he's going to get the ball 25 times. His career yards per attempt is like 3.4 or something. It's just pitiful. So there's a good spot that he busted there, and he did. So we're going to take that into account when looking at this slate right now. We know that Andrew Luck's on it. We know that Andrew Luck might be, or should be, there shouldn't even be a hands-down comeback player of the year, not one that I can think of. Should be Andrew Luck. I mean, I know Richard Sherman's out there playing good, but I believe it should be Andrew Luck. He's just been dominating. It's like basically the past month of the season has been a little bit rocky, but he's just had great success, throwing for multiple touchdowns in the far majority of his games. Definitely a guy that we're going to consider having in these lineups. Definitely a guy that could hit 80% owned. The last showdown slate, I think it was Christmas Eve, I didn't think Lindsey was going to hit 80% owned. He ended up being the high 70s, I believe. I didn't see that coming. I thought it would be closer to the 60s. I did mention it could get that high. I ended up playing him in too many lineups. I think I entered 10 lineups, and I had him in 8 or 9 of them, so definitely had that outweighing the field the wrong way there. We're going to try to do better this time. T.Y. Hilton, he's on the road, so we know we like to play T.Y. Hilton on a fast track. He's been dealing with these injuries the past couple weeks, not practicing, things like that, but it is week 17. Everybody's really dealing with injuries, right? So T.Y. Hilton, we want to talk about him, and he's $11,000 on Draftkings if you want to put him in the captain spot. I think he's definitely an interesting play because we know that he's one of those guys who can absolutely blow up the slate, right? He can go for 150 yards like he's done pretty much in 2 weeks of the past month, and he can go and he can absolutely blow up with a couple of touchdowns, and you have to have him like we saw with Derrick Henry to actually have any chance of winning, right? Speaking of Derrick Henry, the devil himself, we see Derrick Henry, $10,800 for the captain spot. Now, he's had 3 pretty good weeks. I mean, came off of his 2 monster weeks, right? He had 50.8 on that showdown slate against the Jags, and he had 33.24. Last week, he came a little bit more pedestrian, 16.2. But the thing to keep in mind, he still got over 20 touches, right? He didn't see 30 touches like he did the week before, but he had 21 attempts on the ground for 84 yards, and then he had caught 1 ball, which is not something we're used to him doing, but he might get a target or 2 in a game. And he did get in the end zone, so they're using him a ton more. Definitely a spot to look at for the captain. And we can look out here. So Marlon Mack's up here as well. Then we get Mariota. So decent captain options. A lot of guys who are going to be playmakers, and these are the slates I like because it allows you. And I like actually all these showdown slates. Like if you're going to get a slate with not a lot of guys, it gives you a good opportunity to kind of get your edge and take a stand on one guy who's probably going to be lower owned because there's going to be a lot of distribution. The same goes with one of these bigger slates. When you got a lot of guys who are expensive, it gives you an opportunity to fade those guys if you have strong conviction around a guy like Andrew Luck on this slate instead of T.Y. Hilton. That's where you want to make your stand on the Colts side. So we do have Mariota being in question here. He's at 9.2 regular salary, 13.8 for the captain spot. It doesn't really look like he was limited on Thursday. It doesn't really look like they're that confident in him being able to play this game. But again, it's a win and you're in, so I think every way possible he's going to get back there. He's going to be rushed out. If he keeps that question mark by his name, I really don't see why I don't see why a lot of people would probably end up playing him, right? So he might draw lower ownership, mainly because he's going to have that question mark lingering all week. People are going to make their lineups earlier, Sunday morning, maybe Sunday night, but the inactives are going to come out 45 minutes before. There's going to be a lot of people not changing those lineups or getting Mariota in. We're not just feeling comfortable enough. I think that's a spot we can make our stand. If Mariota is going to be playing in this game, it's a win and you're in. There's extra motivation there. And if they're throwing him out there in this game, it likely means he's healthy, right? They're not going to risk anything major, although this year the Titans have been a little bit interesting because he's been thrown out there with a hand that really can't throw, and that's kind of lingered. So maybe I'm eating my words as I talk. I don't know. Eric Ebron, questionable. He came out injured. He was limited Thursday, so it seems like he should be playing. Obviously, Eric Ebron's a guy who just absolutely blows up, right? He's been having a great season, Pro Bowler. Got hurt in the last game, and I believe he had to come out a little bit, so we'll monitor that. Lots of good players in this slate. You got Corey Davis, similar to T.Y. Hilton, who can absolutely explode, and if you don't have him, you're not going to win. Simple as that. He hasn't done it in the past couple weeks. I think the fact that he hasn't scored over 7.6 in the past 3 weeks is going to reduce his ownership. But against Tennessee at home, I like this position a lot for Corey Davis. Let's build a lineup where we go Corey Davis in the captain spot, right? So we know that these showdown slates, yes, there's sharp people or sharper people like us out there actually trying to make some money, but there's people doing this for entertainment. And when they look at the game logs, they look at Corey Davis's name, they're going to see this, right? They're going to see hasn't exploded in about a month. So yeah, I do see lower ownership coming in on Corey Davis. That's the guy that I want to try and target in the captain spot. So let's see if we can do it. So let's see what we can build if we have Corey Davis there. Looking at the rest of this, Austin Davis, he was signed by them. Backup quarterback city right here. Chester Rogers had success earlier in the season, but that's kind of dwindled off until last week where, again, he saw more targets and he had a couple yards, found himself in the end zone. Not sure I want to chase the points here. I'll let other people chase those points. If he's going to garner above 10% ownership, I'm fine letting somebody else take a shot on that. Tyrod Taylor, again, another guy who has big play upside, but he hasn't really done it this year, and that's because Corey Davis is seeing a lot of the target share. And as of late, they haven't been passing the ball as much thanks to Derrick Henry getting loose on the ground, right? Dion Lewis still garnering some ownership. Dion Lewis is down here at $5,000, and boy, has he fallen off of the face of the earth, right? Dion Lewis was the sexy play that everybody was trying to jump on in weeks, 12 and 13, and then they just absolutely unleashed Derrick Henry in weeks 14 and thereafter. Dion Lewis hasn't topped over 10.2 fantasy points in the past month of the season, coming off back-to-back games under 10. This is a spot where you can take a stand on Dion Lewis here, but I'm not sure I want to take that stand because, yes, he's cheap. Yes, he's going to be probably lower owned in this situation, but do we really think that in a must-win game at home, they're going to go away, the Titans are, from what's basically won them their last 3 contests, rushing Derrick Henry 20-plus times, giving him every goal line carry? Dion Lewis hasn't eclipsed 10 targets, more than 10 rushing attempts in basically the last 6 weeks of the season. Not a spot that I want to take a stand here, but it is definitely a spot that if you want leverage over Derrick Henry, you go with the RB2 in this situation, who does have pass-catching upside. Just really not a spot that I want to go to. I think I'm going to plug Derrick Henry in as well, so we're going to get 2 pieces of this Titans offense, which is scary. And this is saying that we're going to be targeting Corey Davis if Marcus Mariota is playing, right? We're not going to be targeting Corey Davis if Marcus Mariota's out, but as of right now, I like Marcus Mariota in the captain spot, and then trying to build around maybe like a Derrick Henry, something in that regime, that area. Let's see what we got at the low side. You have Nyheim Hines. Nyheim Hines is coming in at 4,800 on this showdown slate. He's always an interesting guy because he's a running back who's going to be lower owned due to the fact that he's sort of that secondary change of pace guy. But he does have good passing upside. He's had at least 5 targets. If we go down here, each of the past 4 weeks, he's caught at least 3 balls in each of those contests, and has done pretty good production-wise. He's only at $4,800. And if you do check out his game logs, I mean, he's gone over 10 3 out of the last 4 weeks. That's pretty good, again, on showdown slates. If you can get guys who are going for 12 to 15 points, and again, just because he's done it in the past doesn't mean he's going to do it, but it just shows that he's been involved in the offense. If you can get guys who are going to go for that on a showdown slate, it's definitely worth it. And I'm going to plug him in for now at 4,800 because you rarely see guys with that much usage getting placed in that 4,800 range. Usually somebody like Hines would probably be 5,300, closer to $6,000, especially based on what he's done the past month of the season. Yes, I know Marlon Mack's the guy who's going to get all the grounding, maybe most of the goal line work, but if you slate me in for 6 targets and 4 to 5 catches from Nyheim Hines, even if he's not getting a lot of yardage, he's going to be getting close to 10 points without his rushing upside, without touchdown potential. So let's plug him in there. We got a decent amount of money left over. Yes, I want to get up to one of these main guys up here, if not 2, but we're going to have to find value, right? So right now our lineup's looking like Corey Davis in the captain spot, Derrick Henry in the flex, and Nyheim Hines in the flex. We have 3 positions left for $7,566 on average per position. And we're going to look down in this showdown slate. We're going to come down all the way down here in the flex options, and we're going to see what value we have, right? We have, not really going to look at Dontrell Inman at 4,600. We have the Colts and Titans. Colts are 4,400, and they're priced up because we don't know if Blaine Gabbert's going to start. If Blaine Gabbert's going to start, we're taking Corey Davis out of the captain spot, right? I think that even Dion Lewis might then become a better play for a little pass down, check down work. It might hurt Derrick Henry a little bit. But if Mariota's in there, we're going to be starting Corey Davis because, again, they're both questionable. Not a lot of people are going to want to own that. If it seems like it's a really bad injury, we can get away from that. But to build this lineup on first look, that's what we're going to go with. I like the Colts defense, though, if Mariota isn't in play. And honestly, on these one-game slates, you could play Colts defense against a lot of Texans players because all it takes is 1 pick six, all it takes is 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown. And if we're not going to be playing Mariota and all we need is that, a pick 6, and we're set at defense, and then you can still have Corey Davis go for 8 catches, 100 yards, and a touchdown, and you're fine. Right? Those things can happen on a one-game slate since there's so much variance. I think we'd be in a pretty good position, but for right now, we'll ignore that, and we'll see what's going to happen. Maybe we'll come back to it. Kickers, I'm not sure you have to play a kicker this week. These games should be pretty decently scoring affairs. I would say, I haven't checked the over-under. We should check that out, actually. Let's go to Fantasy Labs quick. But, I mean, kickers, you're going to need the ones that are going to get you 15 points. And this very well, actually, now that I think about it more, can be a slate that does that. Do I want to play a kicker in this range? Do I think he's going to get more than a position player like a Zach Pascal, who's right in this territory as well? I actually do think a kicker might get a little bit more. All right, we're going to be checking out right now. The over-under for this game is slated. It opened up at 44, now it's at 43. So, yeah, low-scoring affair. So, kickers are definitely going to be in play based on the fact that that implied total is saying there's not going to be a lot of offense, not a lot of touchdowns. If there's not a lot of touchdowns, that means a lot more position players aren't going to get as many points. So, clearly, kickers are in play. Now that I think about that a little bit more. We have Firsker. Firsker was popular by everybody. He's at 2,800. He laid a goose egg when he was that sexy pick because he had some success, and obviously there was some injuries on to Joannu Smith and Delaney Walker, obviously, early in the year. 2,800, he's a decent play, but what is his upside, right? If he doesn't get in the end zone, his upside is you're lucky if you get 5 points out of him, but he is a tight end that's going to be running a lot of snaps. Even if Blaine Gabbert's in, I'm not sure that hurts his upside because we know that backup quarterbacks feel comfortable with short, intermediate passes. That's to the running back, that's to the tight end, possibly the flex, depending on who will be in the flex. So definitely keep an eye on that. That injury is going to have to... We're going to have to figure out what's going on with that injury to really see what's going on. If we get down a little bit more, we have Michael Pruitt, spells his name a little bit weirder, M-Y-C-O-L-E, but okay, $1,600, and he got in the end zone last week, right? He was the guy that nobody had on that Washington showdown slate, really, and he got you almost 11 points. Not a spot I'm going to, but his price did come up a bunch. He was $200 on that showdown slate. Now he's $1,600. We're in this low range right now, guys, for the guys listening just through audio. We're in this low range, and there's really not much going on here, right? There's a lot of Titans tight ends that you're basically just drawing or shooting dead with. There's Joe Wilkins, who was more heavily involved when Mac was out, right? So $800. not somewhere I want to go. Ryan Grant is a little interesting at $2,600 because he does see a decent amount of targets, right? And he will catch a ball here and there. But again, I'm not sure if this is where I want to go. So let's see what we're building in our lineup, right? Corey Davis, the captain, Derrick Henry, Nyheim Hines in the flex. We're kind of saying that this is going to be maybe a little bit more points than we expected. But again, let's get a kicker in here, right? So let's pick one of these. We don't want to go double kicker in this situation. So we have Vinatieri and Succop, two actually pretty good kickers. Succop's a cheaper option. In this situation, who do you think is going to move the ball a little bit better, get in the position to kick more field goals? If the Colts have Andrew Luck and the Titans don't have Marcus Mariota, even if they do, I prefer Adam Vinatieri. I also just prefer him based on him being a better kicker than Succop, in my opinion. So now we have $9,650 left in this lineup with two options available. Corey Davis in the captain spot, Henry, Hines, and Vinatieri in our flex. We'll be able to get one expensive guy, right? But I don't think two. But let's see if we throw in Eric Ebron, can we get up to Luck? Yes, we can. So that's one interesting lineup build. So this lineup has Corey Davis in the captain spot, Henry, Hines, Vinatieri, Ebron, and Luck in the flex. It leaves us $500 on the table, which I've discussed it many times before if you haven't been here before. But leaving $500 on the table is a great amount of money to leave on the table on a normal slate. These showdown slates, you don't separate yourself too much. But I think this is a way to separate ourselves. I don't think a lot of people are going to go Corey Davis in the captain spot. And we get 6 solid players, right? We're not throwing a dart anywhere. You can argue at kicker we're throwing a little bit of a dart, but I really don't think we're doing so. I think Vinatieri's in a decent spot to get you 7 or 8 points and lower in that range. There's not many guys who can do that. Yes, Ryan Grant. So you can go and you can take out Vinatieri if you want. You can get another Colts pass catcher and you can go Ryan Grant. That leaves you $1,300 on the table. This differentiates your lineup so much more. Leaving more money on the table means less people are going to have your lineup just because people think spending the most money is the most optimal way to do it, which I would like to actually see stats around that, but there really is no optimal way to do it. The optimal way is to get the guys who go off. Usually those are the good players. We have a lineup here with 6 position players that are all pretty good. A guy in the captain spot who can absolutely torch it. We get Henry, who's been playing great. We get Hines, who we know is going to see a decent amount of targets, and if he gets anything on the ground, he should hit double-digit points, right? And that's what you want on these slates. Ryan Grant at $2,600 is sort of our punt play. You could put a kicker in that spot. Eric Ebron, we know what he's done, track his injury, but we know he's had success, and he's too underpriced, in my opinion, on this slate at $7,400. Going down to Ebron allows you to go up to his quarterback, Andrew Luck, at the most expensive spot in your flex, leaving you $1,300 left over. This is a first look lineup, and this is honestly a lineup I like a lot, right? I'm going to screenshot this for my use possibly later. Depending on when you guys are listening or watching this, the slate might have already happened, the main slate, but I wish you the best of luck. I'll quickly glance over Draft Dashboard because I haven't mentioned that yet. Draft Dashboard is just a tool. My player pool is out, so again, depending on when you're watching this, you might get access to it. Player pool is out. I'm going to update that on come Saturday, again, depending on when you're watching or listening to this. But you can go ahead and check that out, 30 days for $1. I'll put a link in the description. And yeah, so go ahead, check that out. You can do a lot of different things. It saves a lot of time. It allows you to generate your own lineups based on the player pool that you use. You can use my exact player pool if you want to. But yeah, appreciate you guys checking that out. My name's Sal. Best of luck this weekend. Again, if you haven't subscribed, so hit that subscribe button right now. Let's grow this channel. Jump into that Facebook group. Download that PDF below. Read it. Let me know what you think about it. My name's Sal. Best of luck, everybody. Peace.